there is a very difficult truth that most people try to avoid. Laziness does not destroy your life in one day. It destroys it very slowly, so slowly that you often don't even notice it. It does not arrive as a dramatic collapse. There is no warning, no obvious sign. It arrives through very small decisions. You sleep 10 minutes longer. You delay a task for another day. You say you will start next week. Those moments seem harmless, but over time they begin to accumulate. A philosopher once said that a person's life is not decided by rare dramatic moments. It is decided by small habits repeated every day. And that is exactly where laziness becomes dangerous. Not because it is powerful, but because it is quiet. A man named Alex once shared a story that feels very familiar to many people. For years, he always had big plans. He wanted to improve his health. He wanted to read more books. He wanted to build a better career, but most of those plans lasted only a few weeks. Then life returned to the way it was before. Each time that happened, Alex told himself the same familiar sentence: "I just need more motivation." But one day, he heard a sentence that made him think for a long time. A coach once said, "The problem for most people is not a lack of motivation. The problem is that they are too used to comfort." That sentence bothered Alex because it was very direct. But when he looked back at his life, he realized it was true. Every time something became difficult, he always found a way to make it easier, or to avoid it completely. If exercising made him tired, he stopped. If a book was difficult to read, he abandoned it. If a task felt stressful, he delayed it. Not because he was weak, but because he had trained his brain to always choose the easiest path. There is something very interesting about the human brain. It is designed to conserve energy. If there are two choices, one hard and one easy, it will always try to pull you toward the easy one. That is not your fault. That is biology. But the problem is that the modern world is full of easy paths. Your phone, social media, endless entertainment. You can spend hours there without doing anything difficult. And when you live long enough in that environment, something begins to happen. Your ability to tolerate discomfort slowly decreases. A psychologist once said that laziness is not a lack of energy. It is resistance to discomfort. You are not truly too tired to exercise. You just do not want to feel uncomfortable. You are not truly too busy to read a book. You just do not want to focus. This truth is hard to accept because it removes every excuse. But that same truth also opens the door to change. A man named Daniel once experienced a moment like this. He always said he was not the type of person who had discipline. He believed some people were born strong, and he was not one of them. But one day, he heard a sentence that made him think for a long time. A coach once said, "Discipline is not a personality trait. Discipline is the ability to do the hard thing, even when you do not want to." That idea made Daniel realize something very important. If discipline is action, then he could start today. He did not need to become a completely different person. He only needed to do one thing he normally avoided. The next morning, he woke up 20 minutes earlier. Not a big plan, just 20 minutes. When the alarm rang, the familiar situation appeared. His body felt tired. The room was dark, and the familiar voice appeared in his mind. "Go back to sleep, just for today." For many years, he had always listened to that voice. But that day, he tried something different. He stood up immediately. No thinking, no negotiating. That moment lasted less than 10 seconds. But for Daniel, it was a huge victory, because for the first time in many years, he did not listen to laziness. A coach once said that the battle against laziness does not happen in the gym. It does not happen in the office. It happens in very small moments. The moment you must choose between easy and hard, between comfort and discipline. And most people lose that battle, not because they are weak, but because they do not realize it is happening. But when you begin to notice those moments, everything starts to change. Because you realize that laziness is not a giant monster. It is simply a habit you have repeated for too long. And if a habit can be built, it can also be broken. But to break it, you must understand something very important. Laziness does not disappear just because you feel motivated. And in the next part, we will talk about a truth that very few people want to admit. That most people who say they lack motivation are actually addicted to comfort. There is something that very few people are willing to say honestly about laziness. Most of us do not lack motivation. We are addicted to comfort. That may sound harsh, but take a close look at your daily life. When you feel tired, you rest. When something becomes difficult, you delay it. When there are two choices, one easy and one hard, you almost always choose the easy one. At first, this does not seem dangerous, but over time, it begins to change the way your mind works. A coach once said that every time you choose the easy path, you train your brain to become a little weaker. Not immediately, but little by little. A man named Marcus once realized this in a painful way. For many years, he always said he wanted to change his life. He wanted to become healthier, more disciplined, capable of doing bigger things. But every time he started something difficult, it always ended the same way. He quit, not because he could not continue, but because he did not want to tolerate discomfort long enough. One evening, Marcus read a sentence that made him think for a long time. A coach once said, "If you always run away from discomfort, your life will slowly become smaller." That sentence made him look at himself honestly. He realized that his life was actually becoming smaller. Challenges he once wanted to face, he now avoided. Opportunities that scared him, he ignored. His world became safer, but also smaller. That is exactly how laziness works. It does not only slow you down, it shrinks your life. A psychologist once explained that your ability to tolerate discomfort is like a muscle. If you do not use it, it becomes weaker. If you train it, it becomes stronger. Most people do not realize that they are doing the opposite every day. They are training comfort. They are training avoidance. They are training procrastination. And after many years, they begin to believe they are not strong enough. But the truth is, they simply never trained that strength. There is a story about a man named Chris. For many years, Chris believed he was a lazy person. He tried exercising many times, but he always quit after a few weeks. One day, a friend told him something very simple. Do not try to become a super disciplined person. Just become the person who does not quit today. The idea sounded too small, but Chris decided to try. On the first day, he ran for 10 minutes. On the second day, another 10 minutes. On the third day, he wanted to quit. His body was tired. The weather was cold, and his mind started saying the familiar sentences. You can skip today. You can run tomorrow. Before, he always listened to that voice. But this time he remembered something. If I quit today, I am training laziness. So he ran for another 10 minutes. Not fast, not perfect, just not quitting. The following days were still difficult, but something began to change. Every time Chris defeated laziness, even a little, he felt something unusual. Not motivation, but self-respect. A philosopher once said that confidence does not come from positive thinking. It comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you will do something, and you do it, you build a little strength. Every time you say you will do something, and you quit, you break a little trust in yourself. Laziness lives in those moments. The small moments no one else sees. The moment when you can get up or lie down a little longer. The moment when you can start the difficult task or delay it for another day. The moment when you can continue or stop. Those decisions seem very small, but over time they create two completely different paths. One path leads to strength. The other leads to regret. But there is something you must understand if you truly want to break laziness. The greatest battle does not happen outside. It happens inside your mind, between two voices. One voice that wants comfort, and one voice that wants you to become better. And in the next part, we will step into that conversation. The silent battle that happens inside your head. Every time you face something difficult, there is a debate you have heard hundreds of times inside your own mind. You may never have said it out loud, but it is always there, especially in the important moments. The moments when you have to do something difficult. The first voice appears very gently. It says very familiar things. I'm tired today. It's okay if I rest for a while. I'll do it tomorrow. That voice sounds very reasonable, Very kind, very convincing. But there is something you need to understand. That voice does not care about your future. It only cares about your comfort right now. Then the second voice appears. Not gentle, not comfortable. It speaks in short sentences. Get up, do the work, stop hiding. That voice often makes you uncomfortable because it asks you to do what you do not want to do. Someone once said that the greatest battle in your life is not with the world. It is with yourself. Two versions of you. One version that wants things to be easy, and another version that wants to become stronger. A man named Eric once described the moment he saw this battle most clearly. He was lying in bed at 5 a.m. The alarm had just gone off. The room was dark. His body felt tired, and the familiar voice began, "Go back to sleep." He closed his eyes. The warmth of the blanket made him want to fall back asleep. But then another thought appeared. If I go back to sleep, who am I choosing to become? That question made him open his eyes. Not because he suddenly felt motivated, not because he suddenly became strong, but because he realized that moment it was the battle. Not the gym, not the job, but the moment of leaving the bed. He sat up. Just one small action. But in his mind, it felt like a declaration. Today, I don't lose. A coach once said that most people lose the battle with laziness before their day even begins. They lose when they choose the first easy option, because the first choice often creates a chain of choices that follow. If you begin the day with procrastination, the rest of the day often follows that direction. If you begin the day with discipline, your mind begins to shift. A psychologist once explained that the first action of the day acts like a signal to the brain. It tells you what kind of person you are. Are you someone who delays or someone who acts? A woman named Rachel experienced this change in a very simple way. For many years, she felt she lacked discipline. She started many plans, but rarely finished them. One day, she decided to try a very small rule. Do the hardest task of the day first. No overthinking, no waiting for inspiration. Just do it first. On the first day, it was an important email she had been delaying. On the second day, it was 30 minutes of exercise. On the third day, it was a project at work. Those tasks were not huge, but they created a very different feeling. She began her day with a win. A philosopher once said that great victories rarely appear suddenly. They are built from small victories repeated over time. Every time Rachel finished the hardest task first, she noticed something interesting. The rest of the day felt easier. Not because the tasks were truly easier, but because her mind had shifted into a different state. A state of action. That is how you break laziness. Not with big promises, not with short bursts of motivation, but with small victories repeated every day. But there is something you must understand if you want to win this battle long term. Laziness will not disappear completely. It will return, especially on days when you are tired, on days when you fail, on days when you doubt yourself. So the real question is not how to eliminate laziness. The real question is how to become the kind of person who no longer lets it control their life. And in the final part, we will talk about the moment when laziness truly loses its power. The moment when you no longer have to fight so hard because you have become a different person. There is a very special moment that happens to people who truly change their lives. That moment does not arrive immediately. It does not come after one day. It does not come after 1 week. It comes after many days when you had to force yourself to do things you did not want to do. But then one day, you notice something strange. The things that once felt heavy begin to feel normal. Waking up early is no longer a huge battle. Exercising is no longer a frightening task. Starting difficult work no longer makes you procrastinate for hours. Not because life has become easier, but because you have become stronger. A man named Victor once described this change in a very simple way. For many years, he believed he was a lazy person. That was the story he told himself. I'm not the disciplined type. I'm not good at doing hard things. But after many months of forcing himself to do small things every day, he realized something interesting. That story was no longer true, because every day he was doing the things he used to avoid. A coach once said that people are not trapped by their circumstances. They are trapped by the story they believe about themselves. If you believe you are lazy, you will behave that way. If you believe you are not strong enough, you will avoid challenges. But when your actions begin to change, that story begins to change too. A philosopher once said that you do not become a new person by thinking differently. You become a new person by living differently, long enough. Imagine two versions of yourself. The first version always chooses the easy path, always waits for inspiration, always says they will start tomorrow. The second version understands something very simple. Life does not change when you feel ready. It changes when you begin. Even if you are not ready, every day you are choosing between those two versions. Not with big decisions, but with very small actions. You get up when the alarm rings, or you press the snooze button. You start the difficult task, or delay it a little longer. You continue when things become hard, or you stop. Those moments look very small, but over time they create two completely different lives. One life where you constantly fight laziness, and another life where you have already moved beyond it. An athlete once said something very powerful. The difference between strong people and weak people is not how they feel. Both feel tired, both feel afraid, both want to quit. The difference is that strong people keep going. When you repeat that long enough, something very special happens. You no longer need motivation to do the right thing. You simply do it. It becomes part of who you are. That is when laziness truly loses its power. Not because it disappears. It is still there. It still whispers on the days you are tired, on the days you want to stop. But now, you know something important. You do not have to listen to it. You have listened to it long enough. And your life is not decided by that voice. It is decided by your actions. So, if there is one thing you remember from all of this, remember this. Laziness is not destiny. It is a habit, and any habit can be broken.